Chrisley Knows best. Fans know that Kyle Chrisley has had his ups and downs with the family. On Tuesday, Todd and Julie were given a full pardon by President Trump. Everyone is curious about the family's plans to reunite upon their release. Since he was estranged from his parents for some time, fans want to know specifically what Kyle's plans are in regard to reuniting with Todd and Julie. What did he say? Keep reading to get the scoop. Will Kyle Chrisley reunite with Todd and Julie? Todd and Julie Chrisley's family has been speaking out after President Trump granted their wishes and gave them a full pardon. Savannah has been a huge advocate in trying to get her parents released from prison. Upon hearing the news, she expressed her gratitude toward the president. Now, Kyle is speaking out as well. He spoke with News and revealed whether or not he plans to reunite with his parents following their release from prison. What did he say? Kyle shared that he is very excited to hear that President Trump is setting his parents free. He said, "I'm ecstatic. Truly. I just found out a little bit ago, and I still just can't believe it." Kyle is hoping for a fresh start with Todd and Julie. Chrisley went on to say, "I know Savannah had been working at this for so long, and she never gave up. So I'm just grateful to her and to President Trump for making this happen for my dad and Julie." Of course, fans know that Julie is not Kyle's biological mother. Todd had him with Teresa Terry. Even though he and Julie are not blood, he still considers her to be his mother. Will a reconciliation happen? Kyle Chrisley said he knows his parents are excited to be released and just get home and spend time with family. They have a lot of time to make up for. Todd and Julie both reported to prison in 2023. The married couple was not placed in the same facility. Kyle revealed that he's hoping to reunite with Todd and Julie soon. He said, "I'm going to remain hopeful that another reconciliation is possible." Last year, Kyle revealed that it had been more than a year since he spoke to Todd. His phone calls and messages were never returned. In fact, he was going to attend the hearing but was told his father didn't want him there. He said, "I was actually going to attend the hearing, but I was told my dad did not want me there. I believe someone even said they would have me escorted out if I showed up." Savannah believed at the time that her father was right for cutting off Kyle. She said even though Kyle is Todd's son, he doesn't have to accept the hate being spewed at him. Will Todd feel differently now that he's about to have his freedom back? What do you think about Kyle wanting to mend fences with Todd and Julie? For years, Kyle Chrisley, the estranged son of Todd Chrisley, has been a quiet, complex figure in the ever-unfolding saga of the Chrisley Knows Best dynasty. Once a central figure in early seasons of the hit reality show, Kyle gradually slipped from the spotlight, his struggles with substance abuse, mental health, and family conflict painting a far different picture than the polished perfection portrayed on TV. But now, with Todd and Julie Chrisley officially pardoned and walking free after years behind bars, fans can't help but ask, will Kyle reunite with the parents he's been at odds with for so long? In an emotional, unfiltered new podcast episode of Finding Kyle, the 32-year-old finally breaks his silence. And the answer isn't what anyone expected. "I felt numb hearing the news. Sitting in front of a microphone, voice slightly trembling but eyes steady, Kyle begins by recounting the surreal moment he found out his father and stepmother had been granted presidential pardons. It was Savannah who texted me first," Kyle shares. "Just as simple, they're coming home. For a second, I didn't even know what she meant. When I finally saw the news, I felt numb, not angry, not happy, just still." Kyle goes on to admit that his relationship with his father has been distant, even non-existent, over the past few years. While the rest of the Chrisley children rallied behind their parents during the high-profile trial and sentencing, Kyle remained largely silent, choosing not to join the public campaign for clemency. "I didn't feel like I could jump on that train without dealing with my own wounds first," he confesses. There's a lot that was never shown on TV. Kyle has never shied away from discussing the darker side of his upbringing, including substance addiction, rehab stints, and what he calls emotional trauma masked by wealth. On the podcast, he reflects on how being thrust into reality TV at a young age only deepened the family's issues. There's a lot that was never shown on TV. A lot of pressure to smile, perform, be the perfect Southern family, Kyle explains. But behind the cameras, I was struggling. And sometimes, I felt like my struggles were seen as a liability more than something to help me through. When asked about Todd and Julie's image during the trial, the devoted parents, the moral compass of their show, Kyle pauses before answering. I think my dad genuinely believes in family values. But there's a difference between believing in something and living it. And for a long time, I didn't feel like I fit into the version of the Chrisleys that the world adored. Hope or hesitation? Now that his parents are free, does Kyle see a path to reconciliation? The answer is complicated. I think part of me will always hope for that moment, that we sit down, as adults, as humans, and just talk, he says. No cameras, no microphones, just the truth. But it's going to take a lot more than a pardon to heal what's broken. Kyle reveals that he hasn't yet spoken to Todd since the release, not out of bitterness, but out of fear. I don't want to go back to being the version of myself that I was around them. I'm finally finding peace in my life. I've got a job I love. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I don't want to reopen a door that might lead to more pain. But despite the hesitation, there's a thread of hope woven into every word he says. I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss parts of who we were. I miss the way my dad used to look at me when he was proud. I miss Julie's Sunday dinners. I miss Chloe playing with her cousins in the yard. But what I don't miss is pretending. A message to his parents. In a surprising turn during the podcast, Kyle takes a moment to speak directly to Todd and Julie. If you're listening, I'm glad you're free, truly. No one deserves to rot away in a system that doesn't always get it right. But freedom isn't just walking out of a prison gate. It's admitting your mistakes. It's healing old wounds. It's reaching out, not just to fans, but to the people you hurt. He continues, voice cracking. I don't need an apology. I need honesty. And I hope, maybe one day, we'll find that space. What's next for Kyle? Now living in Tennessee with his wife Ashley and working a low-key job in property management, Kyle says he's not interested in rejoining the spotlight anytime soon, even if the Chrisleys are plotting a return to TV. I've had offers. A couple of networks asked if I'd come on to tell my side. But this isn't about revenge or exposure. I want peace, not paparazzi. He adds that he's currently focusing on rebuilding his relationship with his daughter, Chloe, whom Todd and Julie had custody of before their arrest. Now that Chloe is back under Savannah's care, Kyle says they're slowly rebuilding a connection. Chloe's smart. She's sensitive. And she asks hard questions. I owe it to her to be better than I was. Final thoughts. The Chrisley family has never been short on drama. But Kyle's quiet, introspective take on his family's most shocking chapter might be the most honest moment the public has seen. In the end, Kyle Chrisley isn't making any promises, but he isn't closing any doors either. If we're meant to reunite, it'll be because we've all done the work. I'm open to that, but I won't sacrifice my healing just to fit back into a mold I never belonged in. As America watches Todd and Julie re-enter the world with cameras looming and headlines buzzing, it's clear that one of the most powerful storylines still remains off-screen, a son deciding whether or not to go home again.